This is a message to libertarians and independents who might not know libertarians that well, who will start looking in. LP.org, good place to be for the next few weeks. I want to make sure that people who think a third party, and ideally that is the Libertarian Party, has a presidential shot, realize that that's 5 years away. This November, people have not been softened to the idea of liberty. We talk about too many things on the Democrat versus Republican scale, the left versus the right, when we should be talking about north, above, better. Okay, we've got some years to work on it. And then at the presidential level, I think 2024 could be our time. But 2020 could be the time for congressional victories and state house victories and governor, probably not victories, but at least robust campaigns that move things so that if even in a loss, the Liberty faction gets 10% of a governorship vote. When the legislature convenes, the two parties that do win, the Republicans and Democrats, if they're close, that gives the huge opportunity for the Liberty faction to be the difference maker. Okay? If that Liberty faction is the difference maker, then each side has to come to us to pass legislation or to make it fail. That power brokerness is good, and media will finally come around to recognize it that way, even without a prominent candidate, with the political heft finally coming to us. A prominent presidential candidate is still going to lose to a hateful Republican or Democrat, okay? There's an already hated Donald Trump that'll probably be an almost as equally hated Mike Bloomberg or Bernie Sanders on the other side. So when there's a hated presidential candidate, even one, the charge of throwing away your vote still sticks. I hate that charge. It's wrong. You should vote on principle, but it doesn't yet work. And good chance we have two hated candidates. That happened in 2016. And you remember, Gary Johnson, likable and competent and good, commanding double-digit sentiments in polls, ended up with 3% because of the throwaway aspect. Now, at the congressional level, it's less important, okay? If a state with 5 representatives has 1 seat go down, an all-blue state like mine, Connecticut, has 1 seat where 1 district goes gold, libertarian. It's not a vile thing. It's not something that Republicans and Democrats are that scared of. And certainly at the state house level, this is where I think we can make a lot of headway. Look, a lot of candidates now don't even put up their party. You know, the average placard in a mayoral race or a state senate, state house race rarely says Republican or Democrat. That's in part because there are too many embarrassing things about those parties. It's also because the independent faction is in almost every state larger than either Republicans or Democrats. So here comes the libertarian who could enter the independent faction. We need fervent libertarians at that local level to be campaigning and softening us up, the rest of Americans, towards liberty 2024. Now, there is still a sliver of a chance in 2020. And here's how I'd like to try to engineer it, okay? Yes, little me, but maybe with lots of you. How can a libertarian maybe ascend to the presidency? It would take a 5-way race. Remember, it takes only a plurality in a state to win all of its electors. A plurality in a 5-way race could be libertarian with 30% of the vote, but the other 4 splitting the other 70%. Where do you get 5 ways? Well, maybe it is a Bernie versus Bloomberg split that one of them goes independent, okay? I think both of them, I don't think Bernie actually really, really badly wants the presidency. But if he got the nomination, he's in. And if he did so well and lost to Bloomberg, his followers may keep him in. Bloomberg clearly wants it, has the means. This is his one and only shot. You got a chance of a Democrat split. On the Republican side, could a John Kasich, maybe pulling Mitt Romney as a vice presidential choice, could they peel off from Trump? Right now, Trump has circled the wagon so well with Republicans, but give it a sex scandal, okay? Let some more Jeffrey Epstein revelations of young girls that have been around Trump from back in his New York days. It really could tarnish enough that purists reach and both the Republican Party behind maybe a Mike Lee, okay? So here comes the possibility then of a four-way with hefty people, 2 Democrats, 2 Republicans, and now a Libertarian, without as much heft, but with probably almost as much standing. And then if standing face to face to face to face to face, if there really is then a 5-way debate, we're going to come out ahead because the Libertarian almost certainly has the sentiments of at least 50% of the voting public. People who are socially liberal, fiscally conservative. We haven't had a prominent candidate like that. Gary Johnson was close, but didn't get the prominence. When you're in a 5-way debate and nobody is standing really, really tall, it is very possible that the tallest of them is viable, is electable. So, Libertarians, where possible, keep Bernie and Bloomberg in the race. If things seem to go badly, write blogs on the side of the other guy. Keep them both in. To the extent you can help Republicans get a peel-off guy, go John Kasich. That would be powerful too. Now you're in the game. I hope to keep any Libertarian who wants to run for Congress in the game. I'm doing debates, and it is for presidential candidates who want to become governor or congressional candidates later this year or in 2022. Again, I don't think you're going to win, and most one of you will. So the other 15 of you, there's a lot of good, well-spoken Libertarian presidential candidates. I have witnessed 14 of you. So every one of you, and many more beyond, ought to be holding rallies for governor, for Congress, or even for state house seats. You build up your cred in this presidential race and use it to maybe win or at least make a big difference in late 2020. I'm Mark Stewart, in your corner. Thanks for listening.